Good morning and hello, everybody, or afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. This is Kim Langling, the host of Let Fear Bounce, and welcome. Welcome to another episode, folks. And I'm so glad that you're deciding to spend just a small part of your day with myself and my special guest today, Barbara Bowman. She is the author of What Not to Do at Funerals. Let that sink in, folks. What not to do at funerals. It's a lighthearted, honest guide to navigating life's hardest goodbyes without making things more awkward than they already are. After attending more funerals than anyone should, including that of her own son, Barbara brings warmth, wit, and wisdom to those tough moments, helping us handle grief with grace and maybe with a laugh or two. So you're not going to want to miss this episode, folks. So grab your coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get on with the show. Barbara, welcome to Let Fear Bounce.
Thank you. I'm thrilled that you're sharing your audience with me.
I was excited to find out the topic of your book because I'm one of those people that's like, wow, that was awkward. Wow, I can't believe I just said that. Or I can't believe I just did that. Or oh my gosh, I can't believe they just, everybody's so filled with nerves and grief and sadness, and literally just clueless as to what to do or how to help the grieving person. And I saw your book, I'm going, finally, finally, somebody did something like this. So, welcome once again to Let Fear Bounce. Let's dig right on in. Now, your bio shares a little bit of why you started the book, but what was that first spark in your brain? You're like, I got to write some of this stuff down so I can't be the only one that feels this.
Oh no. Well, what I do during the week that pretty much pays the bills is that I work in a spa. And when you're in a room with someone for an hour, just you and them, and so they will tell you a lot. And many of the clients that I have, they've known that some of the struggles that I've gone through. And so they would go to a funeral, or they'd have someone pass, or they'd have an issue with their family. And we would talk about it, and they would, because they knew I had a platform for it. And I just heard over and over and over again, Barb, you should write a book. You should write a book about this. And so it was on the advice of so many other people because there's no toolkit, there's no guide on kind of what to do. And especially in America, well, probably in other places too, but in America, we don't really have one social norm anymore like other countries might have.
Right.
And and especially after COVID, there's just and being a plethora of other religious backgrounds and cultural and ethnic backgrounds, you may have people in your work and in your neighborhood that you have no idea what to do and what would be accepted. And so the worst thing is to do nothing.
Yeah.
And one thing that you said that I wanted to is that when you said to yourself, "Oh my God, why did I say that or what did I do?" If usually the ones that are said out loud, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I said that," that's the best person. You can get it out there. It's the quiet ones where you feel bad that maybe you did something and it becomes more awkward, and then you lose the relationship. And so
Yeah.
time and time again, what would happen is almost every single person, almost everybody that's ever talked to me about a situation of, let's say your dad passed or your pet passed, almost the very next thing they do is that they complain about what someone said or someone did.
Oh,
And now they view that person completely differently. And that stinks. That's the
yeah.
last thing everybody wanted. So this is just a quick toolbox. It's the guide to say, here's what to do, how to fix it, how to jump on it, and some options so you don't feel like I don't know what to do.
Oh, and those folks that might be, if you're at a funeral or, you're the one that they're coming to give their condolences to, they're coming from that place of grief. So they're not even viewing the people normally. The people that come through and they might say I have a social gaffe, whatever, say something in the wrong vein, knowing it's not rationally, it's not ever meant badly, but that person's in a really heavy place of grief. So maybe they're not seeing it or hearing it, the right way. I know I've been in
They have
that
a huge
spot.
filter.
Yeah, it's a different filter at that time. Yeah.
And what's also interesting, and one of the biggest faux pas people can make, is filter comparison.
Right.
So that if once, and it's so strange, no one seems to realize the level of grief you go through depends on the level of relationship that you have. And so you can't, unless you've experienced let's say the worst, the loss of a son. Someone goes, yeah, well, I lost my brother. You're going to look at them cross-eyed like it's not the same. Or I lost a pet, but I only had this pet a year and we've had a lot of animals. Or this could be a pet that you've had for 20 years and they were your one consoling person that kept you off, straight and narrow and that unconditional love. And now without it, you feel every day you feel kind of lost. So people are responding to someone's grief and someone's loss based upon what their experience is.
Mhm.
And I found in my own life and in other folks' life, that's often the very worst thing you can do because grief is so unique. And it also puts the focus kind of on you. And it's not about you.
Right.
It's about the relationship that's lost. And I think that's the biggest shift that I could, if everything in this book, from one chapter to the next, it's all going to turn back around to how that relationship gets wonky and how it can be shifted back so that you become the better person instead of the person that just walked away because they didn't know what to do.
Right. Right. And I found even after a funeral, it's so hectic and busy for maybe a week or two afterwards, and you have so many people coming and food being dropped off and cards and phone calls and blah blah blah. And then like 3 weeks later, silence. And
Yeah.
no one, all of a sudden that grieving person is now sitting there in the midst of all of this in silence. And this is just me. That's when I like to reach out afterwards,
Oh,
like
that
three
is the
like three
best.
weeks later, you know?
That that is the absolute best. That is truly a sign of someone who's empathetic, someone who's been there, someone who's a true friend. Because tragedy, um, even if it's one you may know is coming, someone's been ill for a long time.
Right.
There's a lot of work. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes through transitioning your life and maybe someone else's life. So you may have to pack up their house and you had all the funeral arrangements. And so in order to manage that, you often have to just kind of disassociate and kind of
Right.
separate yourself, and then it settles in. So not only did their whole life go on hold, and they still have to get groceries, and they still have to pay bills, and they may only get a couple days off.
Right.
And now they may still be managing all of that, but now is when it really hits them. And that is the people who are the most forgotten, I think. And then when they are reached out from their friends who were there during the funeral 2 or 3 weeks earlier, and now they're sadder or they're still grieving. People, unlike yourself, don't understand, well, it's over now. Aren't you okay?
Right.
And
Right.
now they're just able to kind of realize, wow, life's going to be different without that person around. And it's also really important to acknowledge that as a neighbor or as a boss or as a colleague, that you may have someone in your professional life that's going to go through a loss and now they're back at work right when it's really hitting them. How can you be empathetic towards that? Remembering people in the long run is probably the kindest thing someone can do.
Yeah. I've just witnessed it many times with folks I know, friends, family, that it's the weeks afterwards that are so hard because all of that busyness, they're still very busy and they're dealing with a lot of very stressful stuff with the estate and all kinds of stuff like that. But all the people and the noise and all of that is gone. And sometimes they're just maintaining or barely maintaining. And maybe they just need that person to reach out and just say, hey, feel like going out for coffee? Oh, no, you don't feel like being out in public? Mind if I bring coffee to you? You don't want to see me
Absolutely.
either? Can I drop it off on your front porch? You know,
Here's another thing people can do is they can actually share memories, even if it's a few weeks later. You don't have to do it publicly on Facebook, but just say, hey, uh, Marsha, I know you're going through the hard time, but I was just thinking about Bob and and how we're really going to miss him on the bowling team. And so, just to let you know, we're still
And I think
missing him.
people are afraid. Not you. Let me know. You've probably talked a lot more about this topic than I have. People are probably afraid to bring up. Well, I know they are. Just people that I've met. They're
Well,
afraid to bring up the person who's passed in fear that they're going to be hurting the person in some way.
yep, that is a huge misnomer. That is a huge mistake. We love to talk. Who doesn't love to talk about the people they love?
Right.
I mean, if these people the greater the impact they had on your life, the more you want to talk about them, and you're always going to miss them.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to let someone show that they love them and maybe cry a little bit. And as time goes by, they'll may always cry a little bit. And that's just because we miss them. But to think that that you don't miss them or that their memory is wiped out from others, keeping them alive in your life is actually very comforting. It can be sad for that moment, but at the same time, simultaneously, I have yet to meet someone that didn't appreciate um, a memory because it's wonderful to know they have an impact
Right.
and that other people are also missing them. That helps them relief and come up underneath that grief and kind of lift it up a little and allows them an opportunity to maybe cry and laugh at the same time. It doesn't all have to be that, but to be afraid that you're going to make them sad is kind of silly. They're already sad.
Right. Right.
Give them a way to talk about it. Let them share in that sadness, and that makes it easier for them to hold when you're commiserating. Don't let them hold it alone.
Most times, if they don't want, they might, you'll be able to tell if they just don't, if they're uncomfortable or don't want to talk like that at that moment in time.
Well, maybe not. I mean, you hopefully so. A lot of times,
Oh,
if you're
yeah, you're
friends, like
right.
you're a friend and you're a smart lady, and you're obviously have intuitive and you connect with people, which is why you're a good podcast host. But like professionally, when I had someone pass, I remember having people come into my office who maybe I hadn't seen in 6 months or a year, and they start saying, "Oh, I heard, your brother died, or I heard your son died. You know, and how did they die?" And you have to be prepared as a griever, which is the worst part, that you actually have to do a little bit of training to say, it's just not good conversation right now at work. I appreciate the sentiment. It's just not good conversation at work or right now. It's not,
Yeah,
and
no,
how do you
that's a
transition that?
wonderful way to address it. Yeah. It's
You
just
have
not,
to prepare yourself with transitions. Um, One of the craziest, it didn't bother me, speaking of transitions, it didn't bother me when someone said, "How are you doing?" But there's many, many people, I was kind of shocked how many people really hate that. They just hate it. How am I doing? You should know how I'm doing. But yet a year earlier, you would have been that same person to say, "How are you doing?"
yeah. I make it a point not to ask that.
Because you've been there, or you've
Yeah.
been known someone that's been
And
there.
and when someone says how you doing, you might just start breaking out in tears and say, "Well, this is how I'm doing." You know, I don't know. I there are a lot of times I won't even touch on the topic. I kind of wait, and I am empathetic. I'm very empathetic. And I can feel stuff off of people at
Yeah.
times, and sometimes it's very strong. And I know not everybody's like that, but I think with your book and with the practical guide, and I like how those words are used in the description, it's a practical guide for a lot of folks that are, and I'm going to say fearful. They're fearful of misstepping, saying the wrong thing. I personally have laughed out loud at a funeral. Should I have? No. But what they were sharing was hilarious. And
They
I
have
knew the
that.
person, I knew the person, I knew that instant they were talking about because I was part of it. And I literally like kind of guffawed out loud. No one else did. And I
Okay.
just went, and I just went, ugh. But later, the loved one came up to me and said, "Thank you for being you." So it was probably shocking, but she still said thank you for being, because it was funny, but everyone, and there were other people
They were
there.
too afraid.
They were afraid to even, chuckle. You just be yourself. Just, because the person that's grieving, they don't want this all buttoned up, you must wear black, you know, typically I've found, you let me know, but I've found just it because we've all been to funerals. I've been
Yeah.
to way more than I want to be.
And
And
we're
many
going to
times,
get to more as we get older.
yes, yes, and that seems to be the case. But I've just been to too many of, very young people
Mm.
and dear friends of mine, passing way, way too soon. And to what I think is way too soon. And they don't get easier. You're just better able to handle yourself.
There's
Yes,
folks, all of a sudden they haven't been to a funeral in a year or so, believe now they can do it, and there triggers other things going on.
right.
It can also trigger relationship issues.
Yeah.
Um, there's I've had my Jerry Springer moments. And so,
There's so many things going on with people at a funeral. My pastor from church will often share stories because he presides over funerals. And he will share some stories, keeping everything very confidential, and it's never judgmental, but he'll share how, some of the funerals can be very difficult to navigate with family members, or
oh yeah.
or the different sides of the family, and then they both come together, and it shouldn't be that way at a funeral with arguing and you know disruptions, and like you had mentioned, folks coming inebriated.
Yep, and there's a lot of there's the Hatfield and McCoys, but before they were the Hatfield and McCoys, there was, we all had grandpa. So who's going to show? How to show? Well, you have to, if you know this is going to happen, you need to be able to have people set up ahead of time. But also, if you're not going because you're concerned about a family, a family member or an altercation, you got to have a bigger picture. Be the bigger person. Take the 15 minutes to walk in, give your respects, say, I'm just here to give my respects because I loved him. He meant the world to me. I'm going to give my respects. Most people will let you do that. And if, and so you just be prepared, always try to be the higher person. Bring a friend if you need to, just a support person. But go. That might be the one opportunity to reopen those doors
Right. Yeah.
and to show that, hey, we have moved on. We're okay. Can you be okay? And if they can't, that's on them. Like you said earlier, that's on them. But
Right. Yeah, don't take on others issues, especially at a funeral.
just don't engage.
Right, don't engage. That's the best advice right there. Boom.
But
Don't.
just have your speech. Have your 2 or 3 sentences ready. It's not the place. I love grandpa, and I just need to say my respects because I love grandpa. Who's
Yeah,
going to stand in the way of loving grandpa?
right. Right. I've found it, and there's times where it's like, oh man, I don't want, especially if it's a child that's passed, and
Yeah.
it's just so very, very hard. And you're like, "Ah, I don't know if I can do it." Then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got to remind myself, this is not about me.
I think that is a huge theme in my book. There's quite a few times. In fact, there's one thing I shouldn't have done. I did say it twice. Don't I said, suck it up, Buttercup,
Right.
because your symbol of discomfort is in no way compared to their anvil
Right.
of grief and sadness and
Right.
loss. When I do a talk, we'll take questions. Usually the number one I'll talk about, the biggest thing for me was that I never knew for geez, for like a decade. No one ever told me I didn't have to go up to the casket. And so I would not, I'd be there supporting with my girlfriend, and that's her. Someone, I didn't even know people. I would go up to the
Right.
casket and just count and just go, wait, please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't move. You know, no one told me because I didn't ask, but I was younger at the time. And
Well,
so
you're right. No one's ever said you don't have to. You're right.
you don't have to.
'Cause I have went up to the casket every single time, whether it's someone I know or not.
You don't have to go. It's
And then
so
I go up there and very respectfully bow my head. I'm not Catholic, but I'm up there doing this.
I've done a few of those.
Then I walk away going, well, and I say a little prayer, I'll be like, rest in peace, whatever, because it,
Oh, I'm worse.
and
I'm
you
like, is
and
that
it's
good
so
makeup?
funny, you get all weird with yourself. You get all weird with
Out.
yourself.
Sometimes I would just count to 30 and go,
Count to 30. Bow your head, count to 10. Okay.
that's right. I gotta go. Nice to meet you. Hello and goodbye.
Yeah, so,
I would be like, okay,
yeah,
hi, I'm Barb.
don't do this. Don't do,
Haven't met you
see you later.
before. Hope this is okay.
Yeah,
And
don't
you'd skip.
wave at the
And then
casket.
you'd be
See you
like,
later.
then you go back to other people and go, did you smell anything? Could you smell that? Is that, what does that smell? You know, it's embalming fluid. And these are the weird conversations that people don't want to overhear. But
Yeah.
I didn't know. And then there's people
Or
who
people
won't
are
tell
like,
their
why'd they
funeral because
put
they
so
think
much
they have.
makeup on her? That's not how she wore her makeup ever. Or why
Well,
did they
what
do
did
her
she
hair
look
like
like?
that? She never wore her hair like, and you want to say, be quiet.
I know. That's the conversations that the people in the receiving lane, they don't want to hear that.
Oh, no, they
So
don't.
usually that's, we'll talk about some of those things. And then the number one question is, what can I say other than I'm sorry? And
Right.
most of the questions are, what can I do when I make a mistake? How do I regain that relationship? Kind of let people change it. So it's really fun to do a talk because it's always different.
Yeah, I bet. I
And
bet.
it's a great jumping off place, but everyone's had some crazy
Yeah.
experience.
And that's a good one. What else can I say other than I'm sorry? Because it almost to that person, they're not even hearing stuff half the time if they're grieving, standing there, just shaking hand after hand. I was at well, I've been to several, quite a few, where the person, like the spouse or the mom or dad, you can tell they're not
Yeah,
hearing anything anyone is saying.
yeah.
So a lot of times you don't need to say anything. Give a quick hug, do take their
A
hand.
long hug. If they're a hugger and you're not a talker and they're not a talker,
Right.
you can embrace a person.
Well, and a lot of times they're not capable of talking. I've been to them where they're just not, they don't say a word. They are so distraught. They've taken
They're just
something.
holding it together. They're just doing the best they
They're
can.
they're holding it, barely holding it together. And you've got 200 people behind you in line, you know. So I've found many times you don't have to say anything. And a lot of times they don't remember half the people that were in front of them anyway that day.
No, but they will remember the person that showed up in like orange polka dots or or
Be
hiking
amazed. I would probably be surprised at what they are remembering.
or the
Be this
selfie person.
random things that they
Oh
remember.
yeah, don't be the squirrel. Don't
Yeah,
be the like
right. Don't be the squirrel.
no.
I got to
And
share
they're
that one with my
there.
pastor. Don't be the squirrel at this funeral.
Do not be the squirrel. See, I've never said that before. Say there's fun things.
That's an awesome one though.
I mean, the book is quick. It's meant to be a quick guide. Get in, get out, get some information, get some tools, and then get going and move through these situations
And
so that
pull it
when it's
out
your
when you need to the
what to do.
next time.
Yeah. But if you're putting it in a card and you're like, I don't want to say the
Oh,
same old,
right, right. If you're put, yes,
but
that's a tough one. What do I write in the card? Yeah, that's a tough one.
there's so many things you can say. I think I'm really going to miss them
Yeah,
says that you're also hurting for their loss. You don't have to say I'm hurting for the loss. I'm really going to miss them.
yeah. You know what I started putting in cards because I'm one that actually still does handwrite in a card and mail it. I'll say how blessed we all were to have this person in our life.
Beautiful.
And that's what I use. That's my go-to because I was thinking, I don't want to write I'm sorry because they're probably hearing that so many times.
And even
And
if you
yeah,
are,
we're
that's a
all
better
sorry.
version.
Yes, that's a given. We're all sorry.
And you're
And
good
there's
at
not a
this.
darn thing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. And there's nothing that I can really do or say to make this person feel better, except for I just, heartfelt how blessed we were to have him in our lives.
That actually probably does make them feel better. Kim, I think you're really good at this.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Just,
Thank you.
it has to be, you have to, because you're able to think about it from the other's perspective, which is what true empathy is, wearing the
Yeah, and that's
shoes.
what I try and do. Maybe that's what, anybody out there listening, And I actually have a lot of young people that listen to this show, younger, like 35 and younger.
Oh my gosh, then they'll understand this book better than I do.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, try and put yourself in the grieving person's shoes. It's not easy to do that, but try.
Well,
because
It's
it's
hard
pretty
because
darn
if
hard.
you've never experienced this, it's kind of like telling someone how to experience what it is to be pregnant, and they've
Right,
never been able
right.
to do that. You
You know, and
know,
if you've, like you mentioned earlier, if you lose a pet, when I had to say goodbye to my dog after 14 years, I was inconsolable.
yeah.
It was horrible for 3 months. 3 months.
And what if the person is not a pet person? They don't get it.
Right. They didn't get it. And that's fine because that's on them. Has nothing to do with me. And I don't
But
have
if
to make them understand.
what if that person was your employee or that person was your boss?
Right.
Now, if that person was your employee and they weren't as forgiving as you, now as the employee, I may have lost that promotion because
Oh,
I
yeah,
showed
because they just can't keep it
insensitive
together. Yeah.
to someone's loss of that relationship because pets are family. They're
Yeah.
given to us as family, I believe, to help give us that balance, to keep the temperature in a room.
Right. Because
Because they do,
they're just nothing but a big old ball of love. That's
don't
all
they
they
change?
want, and that's all they
They change it
give.
all. They do.
Yeah.
And that's what they're supposed to. And when that consistent love isn't there, the entire, the barometer in the home changes
Right. Right.
because
Yes.
they're a presence. And someone says, "Oh, you're going to get another dog," and you're still grieving. You're like, "I could never replace him. What are you
Right.
talking about? You're
Yeah,
nuts."
that's a whole nother book, pet grieving.
Yeah, I
What
did
to
a
say
whole.
to
There's
people
a
who are
whole thing.
grieving their pets. That's a whole nother book.
We have a chapter.
That's right.
That
No, expound on it.
it's so true. People don't realize.
Now, then, no, they don't. And because I know I experienced so much interesting comments. Now, most folks were like, "Oh my goodness, we know how much he meant to you," and other people cried with me over my dog. But as
Oh,
one
we
who
lost
lives with
connection.
PTSD, that dog was my rock.
Hmm.
That dog was the one who brought me down from anxiety or nightmares in the middle of the night. He was the one that was there consistently every day, and reminded me, focus, come back, human.
Yeah.
Everything's all right. So my circumstance was a little more intense, but I'm not saying it's any more than anybody else's relationship. Just for me, though, it was very, very, very hard to say goodbye. And it took me quite a while. I did get another dog because I can't live without one.
It
But
takes a while.
oh,
I think
absolutely.
your dog has to find another dog for you
Yes. Yes. And he did.
because they love you.
And I felt this whisper, there's another dog out there that needs you. And I was like, nope, no, there isn't. And that wouldn't go away.
Nope.
Wouldn't go away. And then there I was at the Humane Society, and that's where all my dogs have been rescues. I get them from a local shelter here. And
It's good to be wrong.
excuse me.
It's good to be wrong. You
That's
thought there was no other dog and you were wrong. It's good to be wrong.
right.
Good
Yeah.
to be loved.
And now I have, a goofball dog, and he's just, he's awesome. He's awesome. And he's not anywhere near what my other dog was, and I had to remind myself of that the first few months.
It's
You
a different relationship
It's a different relationship, and I kept saying he's a different dog with a different personality, you know.
because
And
he is.
that's right, just like people.
And with because it was different, it was you had a different connection with him. So you have more connection to of grief. We have more things you lost. Just like if someone has a mom, and let's say this woman has three children, like two boys and a girl. But to the girl, she was also her best friend. So
Yeah,
now she's actually grieving two different relationships. Not only her mom, but her best friend. So
yeah,
she's really going to struggle more than maybe another family member. And it's not that she met more or that the mom loved this person more. It's just they don't realize that prolonged additional grief is because they're dueling grief.
yeah. And there is no timeline with grief.
No, grief is
None.
one of those things you have it. Once you have it, I think you always have it.
Yeah,
Just, just like if you've never been in love, now you know what it's like to be in love. You know what that feels like. And it's a feeling that you're in the club now. You have it, you know what it's like. You've now learned to manage it and live with it, and it's part of who you are. It's a
right.
go-to. and it allows us to become stronger. It allows us to know we have a past, present, and future. It allows us to stay connected with people. And we have to realize that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just part of life. And it's, I think if I had to tell your listeners one thing that's really important, if they have someone in their life that's passed, is that I believe, is that they never want us to feel bad because of their passing. I
Right.
would never want my child, my friends, my family member to live a life sad and angry or disconnected because I left them. I would want them to, and so I think that's the hardest thing for someone who may have passed, is saying, I don't want you to continue to hurt.
Right.
And so if you could remember that you're going to love a little extra and care a little more for the people that are gone, give an additional hug or hold another hand, because they're not here to pass that on. You can become the physical representation of, the love and the kindness and the understanding and the friends for those folks who aren't there. You get to become an extra friend.
Right.
And that's a great way to honor them.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
stay
Don't be, grief changes your life. And that, like you said, it becomes a part of you. And like you also said, you learn to manage it. You learn to navigate it. Just don't let it become your life. Grief.
yes, because that's to me,
That's dangerous.
people might, people don't like it that I say this, but to me, there's often people who feel guilty if they're not sad. They
Right.
feel guilty if they're not, and I believe they've forgotten that how that would feel from the person that died
Yeah.
and what it's robbing them of the life that is robbing. Nobody wants you to live half a life because you feel obligated to grieve and be sad all the time. You have other people, you have other folks in your life that need your attention, and you're supposed to live life to its fullest.
Right.
And that means fully sad and fully happy. And if you're that off balance out of feeling a sense of obligation, and there are those out there who feel if I'm not sad, I don't love them.
Right.
And it's okay.
I would like you to let folks know where they can find your book and you and all your good stuff.
Well, the first book, What Not to Do at Funerals, you can buy it on Amazon. You can download it. You can also go to bowheart.com. Mountains change with those who are around you. And so sometimes you just need someone with you. And you don't have to say, let's talk about the grief. You can say, let's just go to dinner.
Right.
Let's go do something fun.
I
Let's go to
love,
the
was
mountain.
that your nugget? The size
That's
of
my
the
nugget.
size of your mountain depends upon those you have around you.
Yeah.
What an awesome nugget. That's a nugget of hope, folks, that we're tossing out. That's awesome. I love that. That is a coffee cup.
It's a coffee cup, t-shirt, bumper
T-shirt,
sticker.
coffee cup. I'm telling
We
you,
don't
I
do
love
bumper
that. The
stickers
size of the
anymore. You
mountain
don't know what
depends
they
upon
are.
those loved ones that are around you. And what a good visual, because that's so true. Because when you're
Hmm?
facing anything by yourself, it's massive. But if
Exhausting.
you've got some of your tribe with you, and it might just be a tribe of one other person, it does turns more into a molehill, and you can sometimes just step right over it.
Yeah, or dance, leap, whatever.
That's leap like a gazelle.
Live life like you got a cape on.
Yes, by golly, that is right. That's right.
But if you don't have anyone with you, well, no one knows you have a cape on.
So
Just saying. It's been such a great conversation.
this has, and I'm glad to have you on. So, Barbara, thank you so much for being my guest today on Let Fear Bounce. This has been a true pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you again for sharing your audience with me. I am honored.
Thank you. And everybody out there, thank you for tuning in each week. Each Wednesday, new episodes upload, folks, on YouTube, Spotify, all your favorite listening platforms. So be sure that you rate, subscribe, like, do all the things, please. This is Kim Lengling, your host of Let Fear Bounce. Until next time, everybody be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed.
Kindness. It's simple, powerful, and free. Yet, it holds the extraordinary ability to change someone's day or even their life. Order your copy of Nuggets of Hope, Cultivate Kindness on Amazon.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. New episodes drop each week, folks, on YouTube and Spotify and most listening platforms. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the things. So until next time, folks, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and as always, let fear bounce.